Hi everyone, Queeveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to continue looking into the future for some interesting future events. If you'd like to know what the sky is going to look like for July, just take a look. A couple of videos ago on this channel, I looked at the night sky in July, what different things are coming up in this month, both in English and in Irish. So you have two languages to choose from. Of course, the two videos are a little bit different, so I encourage you to watch both. In this video, we are going to be looking forward, as you can see, to the year 2024, and we're looking all the way forward to the very beginning of October. When I take a look into the future to look at future events, I very often don't know what I'm looking for. I'll take a look into the future. I've been told what date to look at and roughly where to look at in the sky, but other than that, I am going in blind. I'm taking a look at what's in the sky based on a suggestion, and I don't know what it might be. Of course, looking at the whole sky to try and find, any random event. Of course, there's always lots of things going on in the sky. I was told to look in the constellation of Leo, or to look around the star Regulus, which is just coming up there in the morning, and it looks like Venus is right on top of it. So here we go. That might explain why I couldn't find Regulus, because Venus is where Regulus should be. So this is at least a conjunction, if not an occultation. So let's take a closer look and find out exactly which it is. And of course, we've seen in previous videos recently, just under the horizon there, we've seen in a bunch of videos recently that Venus, of course, passes by Regulus quite often. We've seen close conjunctions of Saturn, Venus, and Regulus all together. Wow, here we go. So we know that Venus passes close to Regulus, but I think this is the first time we're seeing Venus occulting Regulus, and we can see that happening there. So this really looks amazing. Venus and Regulus perfectly lined up, but that's not going to be visible from Ireland. So yet again, we need to go on a little bit of a hunt around to find somewhere where this will be visible. And if we get ourselves oriented here, okay, so yeah, we've just watched the sun go down into the north. So I guess waiting for the sun to come up in the morning would be the best thing to do. So if we move over to somewhere where the sun has already risen at this time, it should come up. Okay, I didn't move quite far enough there. That was a very cautious jump across the planet. Of course, we do need to move by pretty big distances to really noticeably change the time zone. We can see that Venus and Regulus are closer to the horizon there, so we are moving in the right direction. We're getting there, but we will have to jump a little bit, well, not a little bit, quite a bit further. Here we go. Now we have changed our location on the Earth, so we're going to take a closer look at Venus and Regulus just to make sure that they are still aligned pretty much. So they've shifted a little bit. Venus isn't exactly in the center of Regulus as it was. That's where I left it. I left Venus in the center of Regulus, and it seems to have moved, even though the time is barely moving. We are moving by seconds here, but not by very much. So let's take a look. There we go, just above the sunrise, really barely visible, but here we go. Venus perfectly occulting Regulus, and it looks like from this location, yeah, it didn't hit the ground anytime there, so you can watch the whole occultation happening. If you have a telescope, you can take a closer look and really see Venus wiping out, occulting Regulus here. Now if we go through a couple of days, there we go, so we can definitely see Venus pulling in front of Regulus there as we move through some different days. So let's just double check where we are. It looks like we're here, so this is in Russia. It looks like down here in Mongolia, down in Nepal, down in India. We're all on this line, so let's just take a look from, I believe, what's probably Bangladesh if we're down here at the coast, just to see. Yes, still there. Now we are closer to the equator, and I was after wiggling things around a little bit, so let's move through time and get them aligned again, because they should be straight up above the horizon. Now we can see they're not as perfectly aligned as they were. If we get rid of the atmosphere, here we go, should see that even more clearly. It doesn't look like Venus is going not as directly across the center. It seems to be a little to the side here, but that would be almost certainly down to me. That's down to me not clicking exactly in a straight line, but moving by, what is centimeters, millimeters on this screen in front of me, but hundreds of kilometers in real life. But we can see that they're very clearly coming nice and high above the horizon when we're this close to the equator. There is Venus perfectly occulting Regulus, and it is unfortunate that we won't get to see that perfect occultation happening from here in Ireland, but it does look like there is a large portion of the world that will get to see this happening. And of course, you'll get to watch it happen as well over the course of a couple of days if you go out the day before and the day after and make a comparison as to where Venus is. And we can see Venus there very visibly moving differently to the stars and crossing over Regulus. We'll quickly hop back to our default location back here in Ireland. And of course, everything's going to be under the horizon while it's happening. But we'll bring them up and just see how close we can get. What's the closest that we can see to this occultation? Well, they are very, very close there. So we can see very, very close approach. If we come back until they're just above the horizon, barely, yeah, there we go. So it looks like we'll see them rise just after the occultation has happened, and then of course they'll vanish from our sky. If we come back, there's still quite a big distance between them the day before. So not visible from Ireland, definitely visible over large chunks of the world, and that is going to be a great one if you have a telescope. Even if you don't have a telescope, a photo of the sky would very clearly show Venus occulting Regulus, especially if you have another photo of the sky from the day before or after showing Venus next to Regulus. So we are looking quite far into the future here, 2044, but that is a particularly nice one to catch there around the 2nd of October. So we do have time for another future event, and we're going to keep ticking forward in time. We are going forward here to 2050, but we are also coming back a couple of months to the month of August and forward a few days to the 15th. Now in this case, I know that I am looking for Mars, but other than that, I have no idea. And we are, yes, back in our normal default location. So let's have, there's Mars. Okay, so we found Mars. That's good. Looks like Mars is up for a reasonable portion of the night as well. That's also nice. Oh, it looks like I've managed to change through the dates. Let's correct that. And let's take a closer look at Mars here and see what's going on. Now, of course, Mars already looking plenty bright there at -2.9. If we take a close look at Mars and just move through the night, we can see it rotating. We can see Mars turning about halfway around in the time it takes us to turn about halfway around. There's only about an hour's difference in our day lengths. So we can see that there with the face of Mars changing as we go through the dates. Hop back to the 15th again, and we'll zoom out because I'm not seeing any occultations, but I am seeing Mars is very bright there, almost -3rd magnitude. That is very bright for Mars. So there is a good chance that that is why I was told to look at Mars here, because of that incredible brightness that it's showing. If we very quickly click on Venus there, okay, so Venus is down at -4, extincted by some air masses. Mars is there at -3, and I don't think, yeah, okay, Jupiter is technically above the horizon, but probably not visible, or at least not easily. At least I think it's Jupiter. There we go. So let's very quickly click on Jupiter there rather than the sun. There, Jupiter at -1.76. So that means Mars is brighter than Jupiter in the sky here in 2050 on the 15th of August. Mars is going to be brighter than Jupiter. If we go through a few days here, yeah, we can see, I think it's reaching peak magnitude there maybe on the 12th, but definitely very, very bright through this span of dates. And because Venus is setting with the sun, pretty much it'll be tough to see Venus in the sky. We're just about catching it there at sunset. If we move forward a couple of days, it'll be gone. Jupiter is barely coming up in the morning. We can see that here. We're just barely catching Jupiter there a few days into the future. If we move back a few days, it's out of the way. For the vast majority of the night, especially with the moon out of the way, Mars will be the brightest thing above the horizon for the vast majority of the night once we're through to 2050. I'm so used to saying 2020 something, especially 2025, but 2050. In 2050, on the 15th of the 8th, we've got Mars for the vast majority of the night appearing to be the brightest object in the sky rather than Venus or Jupiter. So that's definitely an interesting occurrence, definitely not a common one. So we can see that happening there. Again, this is decades and decades into the future. If we begin just by pulling back to this year, I still feel like looking all the way forward into October this year or into August this year is still looking pretty far into the future. But let's see if Mars is above the horizon at any point of the night. It is. It looks like we've got a lot, or are either of them? No, that was Mercury, I assume, just coming up above the horizon. Yeah, Mercury, not Mars. But there we go. There's Mars popping up at sunset, hopefully. Oh, I think Mars might just be a little too close to the sun to pop up at sunset. But we can see there magnitude 1, not even -1, just magnitude 1. If we move back, get Mars a little bit closer to coming up at midnight, and we are coming back earlier this year, we can see Mars just around there, yeah, reaching the peak that it reached this year back in January of -1. It's a pretty big jump to go up to -2, -2.9, nearly -3. And we can see that variation in Mars's brightness over decades. Of course, Mars varies in brightness every year, reaching a peak when it's directly behind us and then going down when it's coming around the sun. But the height of that peak, how bright Mars actually gets, that varies over the course of decades, depending on how close we are to Mars when it reaches that opposition point. So coming back to this month, this year, and we've just about got Mars above the horizon at a much more reduced 1.4 at the moment. So there are a couple of things that we have to look forward to. Mars's varying brightness, we can see a really high peak there in 2050. We have looked at high bright peaks of Mars before. If you take a look back at some of my other future videos looking into the future. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. I am planning on making a question and answer video, so I think this is maybe the last chance to leave any questions in the comments if you have any. I hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do like it, and if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also read some of this information on my website, content.ie. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.